I want people to understand that there's so much to life, whether you're the CEO or the janitor.
Giving everything you do at 150% will change your mindset and your perception of what you're doing.
Hey guys, on this week's Now or Never podcast, Tim sits down with Kyle Loftis of 1320 Video. This guy has nearly 3 million subscribers, and he talks a little bit about how he built his subscriber base and some really funny stories about how he got started. You're not going to want to miss this episode.
And I am me. Just be. I'm a gentleman, now I'm settled in. Even when
Welcome to Now or Never, all things business entrepreneurship. People who just take life and kick it square in the ass. My special guest, Kyle Loftis, in 1320 Video. Thanks for coming on the show. For you guys who don't normally watch this, this podcast is all about people who made their passion their paycheck, took something they loved, and found a way to make it their entire life. And it's also a lot about guys from the Midwest who do big things and to prove that people from here, like you said earlier, that's people right. From Omaha, sometimes we're just quiet about it, but we do big things. And so I think I've been texting you off and on for about 6 months because you got suggested by about 10 of my former employees who are all huge 1320 guys. And I can't tell you how many times.
Shout out to Kevin Cox.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it Kevin or?
Kevin and Nick Chandler, right. Both, right. Actually. And so I can't tell you how many times I drive down the street and see 1320 video stickers on cars. I mean, it's every day. I mean, take me back. How did this all start? Because you're from here.
Yep.
And
from Lincoln originally. I grew up there and moved here for college just so I could move just far enough away from my parents, but still close enough to see them as much as I wanted. And I got into car audio competitions. And when I was like 15, 16, I just became obsessed with car audio for some reason. Yeah. And got into like building loud sound systems in my car for about 3 or 4 years. And my dream was always to work at Stereo West. Yeah. Going way back in the history of this. It's kind of what stemmed my car addiction. But my dream was to work at Stereo West. When I moved here for UNO, I stopped by there to borrow a tool, and it was snowing. They had me pull my car in, and they were like, "You did this all yourself?" And they hired me like that and worked there for 4 years. And one of the guys there, like 2003, took me out to a street race, and we went up to Albertsons on 100. Well, it used to be Albertsons on 144th and Center. And there's about 400 or 500 cars there, and it was just like a scene out of Fast and the Furious. I don't know if first Fast and the Furious come out at that point. And the helicopter showed up, shined the spotlight on us, and like 8 cruisers roll in, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love street racing!" I was like, "I haven't even seen a street race yet." And then the next night we went out and actually raced, and I was just hooked on street racing. That was kind of the progression of guys that like car stereo competitions as they move into fast cars and racing after that. Yeah. And so I became hooked on street racing, and I was using this little crappy point and shoot camera, filming races down at near the airport. We'll say that. We don't race there anymore, so it's fine. But and it just slowly, these crappy videos were like, no one was shooting video on the internet in 2003, 2004. No one knew how to take video off of a camera and put it on the internet, let alone share it in different places. So after struggling through that, just kind of slowly created a fan base without knowing it, because there wasn't really like groups with numbers of people that you knew who were followers at that point in time. Yeah. It was just people downloading off of the server I had in the dorm when I was at UNO. But there was a guy here in town, I went by Parrish, who had a sleeper is what we call it, like a 2003 Chevy Silverado regular cab, and it looked stock wheels, stock tires, full exhaust, but it had about 800 horsepower. And so he'd pull up next to a loud cam nitrous Mustang at a stoplight and 4-wheel drive and just blow him out of the water. And no one had really turbocharged pickups back then. So between him and I, we kind of made each other famous. He was already kind of doing his own videos. Yeah. But then when we paired up, we were both able to do what we loved, and it just skyrocketed. I had my first viral video, shut down the dorm's internet without knowing. I was like, why is the internet so slow? We had like 1 million downloads in 3 or 4 days. And
that's insane.
Got a little trouble for that one, but
totally worth it. Yeah.
But that's kind of how like I first became known nationwide, was through that progression to my first viral video.
That's awesome. I mean, that's it epitomizes exactly just taking something you love. And it's funny how many guys who got into cars got in there from car stereos. Same thing for me. I mean, we were Soundworks back in Norfolk, Nebraska, and actually my second store I ever opened. Oh, I met Nick Chandler. Was actually the second store I ever opened back in 2011. Was right next door because I used to work there. Of course,
what was the name of that shop?
Soundworks.
That's okay.
Yeah, and so here I am driving a 1983 Delta 88 Oldsmobile, 38 feet above. I didn't just drive down the highway; it glided. And of course, I got 3 12-inch DVC subs in the back, and I've got everything in that car. But I wired it myself just because I was broke. And that's how I got the job with Phil, who still runs that store. It was awesome. Here it was 10, 15 years later, I opened that store and I'm right next door to the place that I used to spend every check I had into it, how I got into it. And
exactly.
It's funny because the first time I met you, I remember this, but it was Nick Chandler's 21st birthday. And so he was working for me.
Oh boy.
So all these guys who were all into 1320, who were all into racing, they're all working for me. I think it was somebody with Fast and the Furious movies. Like everybody wanted to be Jack like Vin Diesel, but also drive fast cars. It kind of correlated with bodybuilding and the supplement industry. And so they're all working. Tyrell Unger and Kevin Cox worked for me for a little while, and Nick Chandler. And so we used to have our meetings at the North Office, which is also known as the Ice House Sports Bar. Because I was only 29, man. I wasn't that old yet. And so then Nick turned 21. He's like, is there any chance you would come on my 21st birthday? I'm like, hell yes, I will. And I don't remember what little rat hole club it was downtown Omaha. But I'm like, I'm buying drinks. They go, no, he's buying drinks. I'm like, no, I'm buying drinks. And it was you. And the other one trying to buy Nick drinks. I'm like, I want to see how bad this is going to turn out for this.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's so... I looked up your YouTube yesterday. You have 2.76 million followers. Like what? Yeah. I can't even begin to imagine like what that is. I see some of your videos have 5 million views. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's blown up.
Like I hit 3,000. I geek out. Chad and I are doing high fives. Like I just made $8 on YouTube. Yeah. All right, As far as the business progression, like how did go after that? After you get your first
boy. The first 10 years, I started. I call it like 2003 is when I started taking it pretty seriously. And actually a pretty funny story to tell about that transition. Well, there's several transitions from a hobby to a business, but the first actual video camera I got was my group of street racing friends. They were pushing me to make better videos, and I was in college, couldn't afford a nice camera. So I found a $600 camera at Sears that I wanted, and they put together a car wash, and half of it went to, I forget, some local charity here, and half of it went to the camera. That's how I afforded my first camera. We had a car wash and made like $300.
Oh, so sweet.
I got $150 off of that to help be able to afford my first actual video camera rather than a little Canon ELPH point and shoot with 60 by 60 videos. But anyway, from that point, actually when I got that camera, I shot a whole bunch of video on it, and I was trying to figure out how to make a video of it. Yeah. And it took me a full week to figure out how to get the video from the camcorder to my computer, because nobody else out there was doing it. Like I said before, I was like, there weren't any friends to refer to. There wasn't a Google to search about how it all came down to actually having the camera on, because I've been picturing like a memory card, but it was taped. So you have to have the camera on and play it back and everything. So anyway, that was kind of that was a funny moment in my build up to where we're at today. Then from there, let's see, it really was just a hobby of mine, and I'd started going to races as well. So it was just street racing for the first 2 years. And then I started going to races in like Kansas City, St. Louis, and I was doing these trips on my own because that's all I could really afford. I couldn't hire anyone to shoot for me. And then one of my friends, I still do it today with my cell phone, but I would have a point and shoot photo camera, the one that I was filming my videos on originally, and my video camera butted up next to each other taking photos, so I could have an album afterwards, as well as the videos. And then at one point, like 2-3 years in, I was like, well, if I bring someone else to shoot photos, then I can just focus on video. And so I just basically, my whole business model, even up till today, is my friends that want to come work for me, I train them on how to do whatever. Yeah. And then that's one of my employees. I've hired one person outside of our core friends group, and he was a friend of a friend on the crew anyway. So it's a good and a bad business model, but we're all car guys. We all have that passion, and it's a core requirement of what we do. But my first employee on the books was I think maybe 5 years ago, and that was a very hard step. That was very.
Well, it is, because
especially with friends, but. I was paying people by the trip, and they were taking off time at work. And quickly, I realized they can't do this regularly and still have a real life. So, I hired my first employee, which was an editor, and it was really hard to let go of the editing process. Yeah, but he literally came, he messaged me online a few times. My friend Jacob, he doesn't work for me anymore, but he was our main editor for 5-6 years. It's kind of hard to say because he was part-time before he was full-time, but he came to my house and I gave him one of the cameras and a tape, and I was like, all right, just make a video. We'll see how it goes. And literally hours later, he sends me the video. I'm like, this guy's serious. And that's kind of been the way that I've found my employees is people that come to me and can show the passion and show that they're motivated to work, prove themselves, and then we go from there.
And they're not just doing it for a check; they're doing it because they're. And that's what I've done with our companies too. We just hired an assistant. I think I had 27 applicants, and they had to make it through my wife and my regional manager, who know my mentality and my own personality. And I did the final interview, and honestly, they were like, "What?" And there were some people with multiple degrees, and then I chose people based on their passion for what I do. Because if you don't, you can only fake it for money for so long. People will see right through that shit, I think. And I'd rather somebody's passionate about it. I'll teach you what you need to know. And the same thing with my managers and my shops. Everyone's ever worked for me. I'm like, some people with the GED, some people with the master's degree, it doesn't matter to me. Do you like this? And is this what you believe in? I mean, are you full of shit? Or are you real? But I think that it relates to people through everything. It's like when Chad started in the videography, the reason I chose him is because for this podcast and entrepreneurship, because he had just got on his own. He literally
that'll motivate him.
What is, and if you don't know how you're going to make rent next month, and you got to, this is what you want to do. I'm like, okay, you're going to be able to do this for entrepreneurship because you are now in the same boat that I am, and how hard it is for him to hire his first staffer. It was for me too. And my business partner now on Rexius Nutrition and all the 20 some locations is my first employee I ever had, who worked for me as a manager at GNC back in Norfolk, Nebraska, 2000 to 2003. So when I moved down here and started this company in 2010, and I ran into him at the gym, and he looks like a nutrition store owner way more than I do. He's all ripped and has veins and shit, and I don't. It was 6 months into it. He's like, "Hey, I want to start my own store." I'm like, "Screw that! You're gonna be my business partner because you got drive and you love this." And that the rest is history. And so then I started the gyms. Actually, Nick Langer also looks like an actual gym owner. I don't. I call him Baby Rhino for a reason. He was working for me at a shop. I'm like, no, I'd be my business partner in these gyms. I want people who are be invested as much as I am. It's with employees. It's hard. It's for me, and you said it perfectly. It's so hard to let go of certain aspects of the business because it's your baby. It's one of your kids. I mean, my kids laugh because I have 6 kids. You like the companies more than us. I'm like, no, I can't pick my favorite kid. I love you all evenly. But it is, and it's so hard to delegate out responsibility when you're so used to doing it your way. But with us, with our social media stuff, I've always done it. And then having Chad produce a video, I'm like, holy shit, that's way better than I could do, which is awesome. But he also understands the passion. It is. And it's, I always know that 10 heads is better than one. I get it. But at the same point, it represents you and your brand and what you've tried to create. So it's hard. Bringing friends in. For me, I've always hired within the company. It's on the bigger jobs because it's just so hard to bring somebody from the outside in because you just don't know. I mean, it's like when you interview somebody, what's your biggest weakness? I work too hard. Oh, shut up. But if it's Cody and I've known him forever,
it's hard to see through that stuff.
It is. It's hard. It's too much at stake, I think, when it's your passion to let it go. So, because now you guys are all over the place. You're all over the world at this point.
We've progressed from that one employee. I'm trying to remember when it was. Probably 2013 is when he was officially full time, and today we have 10 full time. So we've got 3 video editors, 3 people in our merchandising, one that manages the online, and then one that manages overall operations and the retail piece of it. And then we have 2 other videographers, and then a photographer and myself. So
that's crazy. So you get to travel a lot, though. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, do you enjoy that portion of it?
No. Like after 18 years of it, it's worn on me a little bit. But when we go to the new spots, see a lot of new racers, like international travel I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Well, right now, probably a little bit. I guess, how are you guys adapting to all this craziness right now? Like it's touch and go day by day.
We're basically at home, just shut down for now.
Yeah.
There's no events going on. It's, we're just waiting to see what happens. And the sad part of it is like, concerts and races and things like that are going to be one of the last things to recover, I feel like, because people aren't going to be like, there might be events, there might be whatever, but people aren't going to feel real comfortable in going to big groups of people.
Well, that's where we were at too. We do a lot of the bodybuilding shows. I sponsor all the shows in the Midwest just because it's always been my passion. And as a chubby kid growing up in Northeast Nebraska, like I always dreamed of looking like Schwarzenegger, which never happened. But they're going to be, because people are scared, and then that's a discretionary income.
Yep.
And people are going to try to make sure they get rent covered and the car payment covered and the kids fed first. And it'd be interesting to see how it is. I know the NPC promoters from the Midwest, I mean, their top shows just all got canned, and there's no getting that back. And so it's going to be interesting. Like we've seen it across the board, and I think we're all day by day. I think we texted that the other day. I think we're all day to day right now. And none of us really know what's going to happen, but it's for us. A lot of our customers are loyal as hell. They've been with us for 10 years, and
they'll stick with it.
Oh, they will. And they're like, hey, I can't afford as much. I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. Like I get it. And I'm in the same boat. My wife, she went from loving a job to working from home like real quick. And if she doesn't kill one of our kids in the next 3 weeks because they're all stuck home from school, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's a great time not to have kids right now. I don't envy people that have infants. And
they don't want us home either, because now we make them do work at home. It's like they're like, who's mowing our yard? I'm like, I have you people. You're mowing my damn yard.
My manager of our video editing team literally had a baby 2 days ago.
My business partner, his wife is having a C-section tomorrow, so he can't even go into our gym because he might contract it. Yeah. So my wife and I have been pulling double duty to try to cover all that stuff for him. But that's what we do. We're family, so it's not
better safe than sorry.
Exactly. From the business aspect, like on YouTube, I mean, is that financially? So I guess I know YouTube ranks all the videos differently as far as like how much you get paid per thousands or millions of views and stuff. Are you guys? Has that been a long stream of income for you guys, or is it newer, or like how does that? I know a lot of guys in the bodybuilding industry. It's very specific, but I wasn't sure on the cars.
So I started trying YouTube out like in 2006.
Yeah, I
think it was. Or no, it was past that. I think it was like 2009 or whatever, but like way before people were really starting to use it. I was hosting the videos on my own private server because I was able to embed a player in our website and send people to my website so they buy our merchandise.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the only way that I'd make money off the online videos. That, and I had DVDs are my primary income for the first couple of years. So like if I didn't send people to my website, they wouldn't know about the DVDs. So I was really hesitant to try YouTube. My friend Brad, I very vividly remember this because for years, or probably 2 years, he's like, you got to try YouTube. You got to try YouTube. I'm like, why would I try YouTube when I need some people to come to my website to buy stuff? And so I finally tried it a couple years later, and this was before monetization was a thing. So there wasn't really much of motivation, but like, I had download stats for the most part on most of the videos, so I kind of had an idea how many views we had, but those weren't really affected when I put my videos on YouTube. So it was like a completely different audience. So I wish I had tried it sooner. But I got monetized. Like I wasn't even prioritizing monetization on YouTube until I got the email, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then it was like, $10 first month, $100, $200, and then a couple of years in, it was $3,000 or $4,000. I'm like, well, this is
shit. Yeah,
this is as much as I'm getting paid at my day jobs, because I worked at PayPal right after college. I started there in 2005 and worked there for 9.5 years. I almost hit 10. I really wanted to stick through it, but the business got so busy I couldn't do both jobs well. Or I was doing both jobs well, but not how I wanted to. And I had a dream job at PayPal. Like it was so difficult to leave there. The people I worked with were amazing, very, very smart people. And we just had a really good team that we were with. So it was a tough decision to make, but between YouTube and other advertising avenues and our merchandising starting to pick up, I had been comfortable for a couple of years with leaving. I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
So I finally made, and I had that first full-time employee with me for a couple of years at that point, I think. And then after I left, I hired a couple more and just fully committed to it.
Yeah.
But the YouTube revenue helped to make that decision.
It was always hard to leave the guaranteed check too. And I actually have quite a few part-time employees that work for PayPal full-time, and they love the atmosphere.
It's a great company.
It is. I saw their CEO just launched out, like, he's committed to paying everyone through the whole deal. And that's what we're trying to do too. And that's awesome. That speaks volumes of their company. You know,
I noticed the customer service center's parking lot's fairly empty. So I'm guessing they're restricting the number of people.
They're working from home. Most of them are working from home.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even Lynette Moles, who works for me on the weekends, and she works there, and she had a big post up about it. And I think, well, I mean, they're being smart about it.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs can work from home.
Yeah.
And why not? You know, I try to minimize how much I'm everywhere just to keep it down too, but it just is what it is. So, you know, where do you see your outlook in the next couple of years? Like, what's your goals?
Man, that's a tough one. I'm not the kind of person to have like big lofty goals and numbers and stuff like that. It's been a lot of in the moment things because of how the business just operates.
Yeah.
It's just right place, right time, and taking advantage of what's in front of me. But I want to continue growing the channel. We got to find a way to branch out from what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're looking for that opportunity, but it's so difficult because like the hot popular thing for the last couple of years, especially right now, is vlogging. Yeah. And we've tried a little bit of that here and there. We just don't have the setup and our fans know us for racing videos. Yeah. And to go and vlog and film racing videos is kind of an awkward situation. Yeah. And none of us are mechanics. And none of us, I hate working on cars. But that's really the popular thing right now is people want to follow personalities and builds and things like that. So it's taken, like, our channel's growth hasn't dropped, but it's slowed a lot because people are looking for those personalities. So we're trying to find a way to morph that into what we do.
Well, that's kind of what we did. You know, it was the thing I found that all the nutrition stores, I just kind of looked at the space about a year or two ago and really kind of changed in 2016 where I'm like, okay, we're going to go hard in the paint about halfway through 2016. And I had business, that was the best year I ever had. And they're like, why are you going to change now? I'm like, I quit listening to the radio. And I quit watching TV. Mm-hmm. Like I stream shit, like because I'm busy, and I'm like, I just think that's where it's going to go. So we did, and I'm glad. Obviously now I did, but I looked at everything in our space, and I'm like, nobody's just following the big movement. They're following personalities. They're following a movement. You know, they're not following the corporate crap, which I appreciate because I'm a fight the man type person. So, and there's no, I couldn't name a CEO or a head of another nutrition company anywhere in the U.S. And especially like one that has like 6 kids, usually it's not, you know, and I'm like, let's just kind of be us, but I don't filter shit. I think there's enough of that crap in the Gen Z, you know, 28 filters of Instagram crap. So I just kind of throw shit up there and chat makes me look good. I mean, that's awesome. But you know, I think we saw the same movement but it is. And since we've done that, we went from our industry, a lot of stores closing this last year. I think GNC closed 1,200 units nationwide in 2 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Complete Nutrition, which is based in Omaha, is pretty much bankrupt. They sold almost all their locations, shut down all the franchises. Vitamin Shop's been in bankruptcy for 3 years, just got bought out, and they're going to close. And then we opened 7 new ones. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't know, because we're real, and I'm all about people. I'm all about the small business owner. That's just my bag. I actually lowered our franchise fees 40% last year just to make it more affordable for guys because we could afford it. So instead of like charging more for the brand, we actually went with the other direction. But it's just how I am.
Well, it seems like big corporations are having a hard time shifting and reacting to how quickly the world's changing. Like they're so used to their corporate lives and worlds they can't shift like these smaller locally owned.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think honestly, I think it's part of me being a family guy and all my employees are my kids. Like they're all my family. They're all at my house drinking beer, doing the thing. Like, we all do this. We're all into the same shit. And having 6 kids, like I guess like having kids from the age of 20 down to 1. And so I have the greatest market demographic research in my house. I'm like, what are they doing? And the funny thing is, like YouTube, we were talking about that, hasn't even begun to hit its platform yet. Mm-hmm. You look at my 7-year-old, my 12-year-old, my 14-year-olds, they're all on YouTube 99% of the time. They're not on Instagram. They're not on Facebook. Mm-hmm. They do the TikTok thing, and I refuse. I'm not doing it. I don't do musically TikTok dancing thing. It's not. Sorry, Chad. It's not happening, bro.
I mean,
He's trying to talk me into it. It's not happening.
After I saw you dancing, I realized, it's probably a good idea to stay off TikTok.
Listen, if I'm drinking, I think I'm really good, but I'm not. I just think I am. Shut up. So, but it's not even begun to hit its platform because that's all they do. Even my 7-year-old, he's a first grader. He's on YouTube or what. It's funny because I had a booth at the Olympia in Las Vegas for the popcorn company, and this mom came up and she's like, "Hey, can I get a couple extra free little bags for my kids? They have a big YouTube channel." I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And I wrote the name down. And sure as shit, they did a video on YouTube, which has more views than anything else I've ever done. Nice. And so my 7-year-old now thinks I'm cool. It took that. These kids have my popcorn on their channel. I'm like, shit, I guess I know where I rank. But but it is. And I think the next 10 years it'll be even more massive. But we talked about how to do the videos and how to do these things. Like now on YouTube, if you can't figure out how to do shit in business now by watching a YouTube video, then I mean,
that's like some people, that's their Google. Over internationally, that is Google for people. They find out how to do things, what to do through YouTube.
That's how when I don't know how to fix something on one of my cars, I look on YouTube. Honestly, it's funny.
I would love to see some of your 1320 stuff. I'd love to see you guys do some vlogging.
Yeah,
I think you guys.
We're just trying to find that. We were just talking about that. We're trying to figure out the right way to do that because we're not set up to build cars and do project cars. So we're trying to figure out the right feel for that. Like we've tried doing vlogs.
If you could get maybe a garage to maybe sponsor you, come in and you could be in with them and kind of vlog, via that. But even just beyond that, I think it would just be kind of cool to just be around those kind of cars. If you know cars well, even if they're not being worked on, you could just sort of vlog on now. We took this car from this and we. I think you could do some really cool stuff just because I think people just want to see it. They love seeing the.
It's like us with this deal. It's I talk about some stuff I've done, but now it's more about me telling success stories, guys like you, because I'm like people hear me talk enough. It's true.
What was that MTV show? They did Chops or no? Where they would pimp my ride type, like a pimp my ride type situation. There we go. But then they made another show.
There's a lot of ways to go about it. I mean, it could
Monster Garage, maybe.
Maybe that's. I thought it was something else. Maybe what's the chopper one with the bikes?
Orange County.
Yeah, Orange County.
Now that's obviously a bigger, more production type situation, but still like.
And honestly, I like the fact a lot of these shows, and I think that you guys do. I think you're finding the personalities that are more real. This is just me, I'm not. There's no smoke and mirrors. Like I had somebody else the other day, and I was doing a video on a fat burner, and some a-hole from Los Angeles pops in, but you're fat, bro. I'm like, I know, jackass. That's why I'm taking a fat burner. If I already had abs, I wouldn't need it. Dude goes solid. Called up the store on Center Street and bought it. I'm like, because that's just me. I'm like, I go, there's enough pretty ass people out there faking.
I love having fun on social media with people.
At this point, we had a couple of them that Seth Rossi, who I told you about, I interviewed, and I mispronounced his name. Well, shit. Sorry. I can't go back into Pittsburgh and record the video. And how many people you said his name wrong. I get it. My bad, bro. You're good. And so
people are talking about that now.
Yeah, but I go, just keep going on there and just keep talking about it. And I just engage with every one of them. I'm like, I don't care. And
there are worse things you could have done, but people are always looking for a reason to pick a fight.
My kids are starting their own YouTube channels, and I'm like, that's fine with it. This is go hard in the paint. There's my son wants to be a video game programmer. That's his thing, and I'm like, do it. Yeah. And so I had to lie about his age on his YouTube channel. Now he's old enough, but I had to do a couple, just do it. And he said, what if people are mean? I'm like, screw people. People are mean. It's the worst part of high school. I hated freshman year of high school. Oh yeah. It's horrible.
You don't want to read YouTube comments.
No.
If you're insecure about anything, you do not want to even read them. But my entertainment is finding crafty ways to turn around on them.
Oh yeah.
Because if their comment gets less likes than my response, I've won. That's my.
It was so Feroci's this big jacked up dude, and people put comments on his channels. It was you look like one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings or whatever. And he goes, that's pretty fucking good. Cause I see a picture of you, so we can make fun of you too.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I'm like, what? And that's just it. As long as they stay away from my kids, I don't really care. And even then my kids, they'll bash you with words and cut you deeper because they get that from my wife.
That's one tricky thing about what we do though, is because there's things that we film that we just know shouldn't be online.
Yeah.
Or things people say and we filter for them. And I know individuals know this, but they shouldn't take that for granted. there's plenty of channels out there that have viral videos because they put stuff in that have just like ruined people.
Yeah.
And we try our best not to do that.
Well, that's just us.
It's a tricky world.
It is. And we're damn respectful of most of everything. We've had a few pieces where like, hey, I said that. I probably should have said, you cut that out. Cool. You know, it's only happened probably twice ever. And it's usually me saying something I shouldn't say. And it's very rare I don't actually make him edit damn near anything. But you know, it's like when you mess like anything I need to prepare for him, like, no, like I'm not that guy. I'm not gonna ask questions that people are. I think right now, especially considering all the crap that we're going through, you know, with the world and business and everything else, I think people hearing a story that, you know, is hopeful, like your story, it's awesome. Like there's kids out there that want to do something like you or have a passion. They can hear that somebody from here can do big things by just staying. But like you said, it's been 18 years. This isn't an overnight thing. Like you've been grinding on this for a long time, and you had that job at PayPal for 9.5 years before you finally stepped out. I mean, I did the same thing, and I was delivering pizza. I have 2 master's degrees. I started my first store, and I'm delivering pizza for Godfathers at night as soon as I closed every night. And you know, like people realize, like even 3 years ago, my wife, like we tried to buy a house and started the gyms, and kind of went too hard in the paint. I'm riskier than she is. So she's working at Kohl's overnight, packing boxes over Christmas, on the Christmas's temp. You know, here we're very successful. You know, we have several, but hey, we got to do what we got to do.
Insurance.
It's like right now. I think right now they're going on. I think you see the guys. Like, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
37.
A little bit younger than me. Damn it. I didn't even guess more older than me. 39. But I think anybody around our age who went through that 07, 08, 09 housing crash and all that stuff has that, okay, I'll do what I have to do. It's not a big deal. I think that this will teach a lot of the Gen Z, younger than millennial type that, like, hey, sometimes you just got to work. And
this is a big wake up call to a lot of people.
It is. I think a lot of people are overextended financially, personally. I mean, God knows I've done. I mean, I look back at some of the shit I've bought the last 2 years ago. Yeah, it was stupid, and really wish I hadn't. But lesson learned. You know, I think that. But honestly, the 08, 09 time period, I lost my ass. I invested in bank stocks. That was great, and lost my ass in my house. And and that's what spawned me to finally say, hey, screw it. I'm just gonna take my dream and make it a reality because I'm already broke anyways. Yeah, might as well be broken happy instead of broken miserable. And the rest of it's history. But I think that this could be one of those times. I think telling stories like yours right now are huge for people to have hope. And you know, if you had to give advice to yourself 15 years ago, what would you say?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Especially on the spot.
Like for me, like I go back and I have a lot of young entrepreneurs reach out to me. They're like, what's the first thing I do? Okay. Do you come from family money? They go, no. Okay, cool. Anything with a big bank name that you recognize, just avoid them completely because they're going to tell you to go screw yourself anyways. And you know, if you don't have bad credit, okay, cool. Avoid banks completely and start talking to people about your dream and see who believes in it as much as you do. Because you have investors who believe in you, that's an easier way to get something started. And everything takes money to a certain degree, but and I said, like, and film the process. Like right now, especially with YouTube and Vimeo and I mean every other damn platform I can't probably even pronounce right now, like film the process. People have seen our first videos to now. Like yours too. Shit. I mean, you know, but I go back to some of our first ones. They're still some of my favorites because they were just so raw and authentic. That, you know, like me and my cell phone recording videos and
some of our very first podcasts is like it's hard to see. It's like
it is. There's people walking in front of the cameras because we only had two. We only had to go to the bathroom and
oh man, it was rough.
That's the thing about Facebook memories.
And that was only a year ago when we started, but we've come so far in a year. Like
you go back to my first Facebook videos and you get those flashbacks. I'm like, oh shit. Like, I had no gray hair at all, which was awesome. But
it's crazy because like you know how people teach themselves how to play guitar, change car parts, you know, work on computers, whatever, through YouTube. Yep. I taught myself how to be a videographer through YouTube, basically. Learn settings. I practiced on different cameras. I found that Sony is that's my go-to for video and, you know, all this other stuff, learn audio, how to do this, how to do that. I still don't obviously have it mastered, but like I finally have some confidence when I walk into a pitch meeting for something. I'm just like, I can make that happen.
Well,
and Tim opened that door for me. So this is like, I love doing what we're doing, and it's just so freaking awesome. Then watching your guys' stuff, I'm just like, that just wants to rate, because the type of stories I tell are a little bit different than the type of stuff that you do, but everything's a way of a story. It's a way to show something and tell something. And so I like to dip my foot in everything, because I love that medium. But yeah, Tim's been able to open the doors.
It was funny, his first time he came in, and he's like giving the pitch, and he's nervous as shit. And I can say I've known him since we were 7, so I know. And he's just nervous. My wife texts me because she's in the room. She's, "You gonna tell him he's got the job already?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna let him sweat." and I go, "We'll call you tomorrow." And I'm like, "Of course you got the damn job, man." Yeah. But the thing is, like, the things that we even tried, we've adapted though. Like, we tried doing the script and what do they call that? The monitor, the teleprompter. Yeah, it didn't work. No, for me. Like,
we've done that too. It adds a different level of complexity and awkwardness.
It does, and I'm already awkward if I'm trying to read something anyways. And half my shit is off the cuff. And Chad's like, "Okay, do another take." I'm like, I don't remember what I said. Yeah. So I'm just going to say something else again. He'll blend them together, but I think we found that authentic. It plays well and it's real. And
it's different for everybody. And that's the thing, is every personality is different. So for some people, they'd rather I just want to read it and look at it. And I've got the teleprompter and it's cool. But then the problem is they find themselves reading and they're not listening to what they're saying because they're so concentrated on the words. And I'm like, you have to own it. You have to know it.
Yeah, style.
Exactly. You got to smile with your eyes. And it's like, people don't know what that means if they've never had to do it before.
Smile with your eyes.
Yeah. No. But it's one of those things where you think about that, right? For a second, you're like, "Oh, I'm not a model." No, but what you're doing is when you talk to people, you don't realize that you're doing that. When you find something funny, when you're not actually speaking to them, you're actually doing it through these little tics and emotions that you didn't realize you were doing. And I'm like, I can see that from this side of the camera. You don't understand. So it's one of those things that's what I'm trying to work with. But Tim's been awesome because he'll get in front of the camera, one take, it's over. I'm just like, how does he do that shit?
And that's for me my biggest pat. Like, I love nutrition, I love the gyms, I love that shit, but I just like motivational speaking. I think people need to pick themselves up and take their own destiny in their own hands. Like, especially right now. Like, okay, the 08 and 09 housing crash, we know who to blame. Some government and banks and a bunch of rich assholes. I was pissed, but I still got screwed. This time, it's nobody's fault. And so the thing is, it's nothing we can do about it either, but I just would rather have the destiny in my own hands. And it's something I'm passionate about. Like, you can tell that it just is for me that my kids, they're like, "Well, I want to be a doctor. Why? I want to be a lawyer. Why?" Because your teacher told you it was a good idea. Well, yeah. I'm like, no, what do you like? What do you want to do? My 14-year-old, like, my family's like, "Oh, he'll grow out of that." I go, "I hope not." Some of these Twitch game players are making millions. I don't care what he does as long as he loves what he's doing and it's healthy.
And actually, to piggyback off that, I like that. Kyle, do you find yourself putting content out there that suits you but also gives the people what they want? Or do you find yourself kind of like, do you have to toe the line? Or is it one of those things where it's like, I got to give the people what they want, even if it's not necessarily something?
Yeah, that brings back about the past 4 years of anxiety for me. That's the challenge of getting so big, is that it used to be that I built my audience just based off of them liking what I like, because I just put out whatever I like.
Yeah.
And now that it's so big and so diverse, and people are shifting, and like it's been a big guessing game. Like, we're trying to do things new, but also branch out from that audience I built just based off of what I like. And that's been really challenging. So we've had to start thinking a little bit more about what our audience wants versus what I want or the crew wants. But for the most part, we still just go to events that are things that interest us, and it pays off.
Yeah, keep it real. I mean, and that's the thing about great working with the Rexius company, is it really is about doing it. You got to give the people what they want or what they need, but sometimes they don't know really what they want until you've kind of like sent them on that journey. And with YouTube, when you get as big as you do, it's like you probably get a ton of requests. Like, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that." Yeah, so that probably toe the line on certain things that are probably
about 80% doing what we want and 20% shifting to what we think our audience might like and trying new things. But my passion is finding new events, new styles of racing, new builds, new personalities that we run into at events. And that's why I really like the international travel, is because we've saturated the Midwest racing and some the East and the West, but everything international is new, and they're their YouTube channels aren't saturated in the US. So anything I film there is all new to our audience, which I love. And there's a little spillover with viral videos, but for the most part, if I go to Australia or Japan or Puerto Rico or Brazil or whatever, no one here's seen that. So like, first of all, we don't have to get everything out in a week because we're battling 18 vloggers that were there. And like I said, it's new. It's just a shock value, and it's so refreshing compared to going to the same race for the 11th year in a row.
Yeah.
It's tough.
That's kind of where we're like, I could stick to all bodybuilding news sports, but I don't, because I interview people that interest the shit out of me. Like I'm like, that's impressive. I mean, I understand all of it, but it's impressive to me. People who have just done things, especially people who seem real. You know what I mean? And that's why Chandler and Cox messaged me about you. Like, I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, and that's for me. Like, we've brought different people, like my buddy Joe Binley, who's from the UK, who's stuck in Los Angeles and in quarantine right now. He's supposed to fly up here last week. I'm like, no, you keep your ass there. And yeah, we're gonna need the whole thing closed captioned because his thick ass British accent. But he's just one of those guys. Like, what you get is what you see is what you get. And I just appreciate that. But he's in that company for, God, I think Joe's been in like 10, 11, 12 years, still does all of his own books, refuses. He's international, multiple companies, but he's just like us. Like, he's so hard for him to give a certain portion away. And you'd like him a lot because he just came to Nebraska for like 3-4 years ago and realize he's a farm kid from, the UK, and his whole company logo is based off of his first pet was a bull. I'm like, you're just a Midwest farm kid. You just don't know it. Sweet. And but that's us. Like, you should have this person on. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to give people what they want. At the same point, like, okay, I can't fake an interview either. If I'm not interested in the shit, like, you're going to see it right on my face. It's the reason why I don't play poker, because I'm horrible at it. But I guess, if in the next, year, we'll see where all this leads and how this changes for you guys and everyone else. But
it's a big guessing game. No one really knows. There's some things you can prepare for, but a lot of it's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
If your business is set up to prepare for this, or just in an area where it's kind of guarded from something like this, it's helpful. Like, we are and we aren't. Like, we can't travel and go film stuff, so that's going to change how we film. Yeah. We're good for about a month and a half or so at least, but when we get closer to that, we're going to start finding other things to do. But our merchandising, thank God, is the sales are up online.
Yeah.
But our merchandising is a little bit bigger piece of our yearly revenue. So not being able to go to events and sell there is hurting us too. But luckily our fans are all online right now.
Yeah.
maybe now is a good time to try that, like that vlog, kind of, you could do something online, or you guys could do something.
We'll push this out there and people are going to see this.
I don't know. Maybe it's one of the, I just think maybe now is one of those times you might want to try to do like a vlog type thing where it's like you can talk about like your process and a little bit about what you're talking
behind
about
the scenes almost.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes would be kind of cool.
I think that's the thing. It's like you have 10 employees right now. Yep. I mean, that's as the owner, that's pressure. It is. And it's, we had, between all the companies, about 60 employees, and, I've got my 10, 11, 12 full-time people, and we had to cut a lot of the part-time people just to make sure that the sole income people, like, that's how they put food.
Sure.
Do what we can. And could I cut it a lot more than I did? Yeah. But these are my family, and I know it's
exactly. I don't want to have to make changes if I don't have to.
No, nobody does. And I'm hoping that some of these things come through. But I told them, like, these are the people that have, live, eat, and breathe what we represent. I told my wife, if I have to deliver pizza at night again, to not take a check so they can get one, I'll do it. It doesn't bother me a bit. And but I think that's a pressure that a lot of people don't, until they're in your shoes or in my shoes, they just don't quite get it. And I had a video out with my pastor from my church the other day, actually, and I said, people don't understand like how hard it is. I'm seeing like, oh, my boss cut me. I'm like, is this a small business? Okay, yeah, trust me, that was just as hard on him as it was on you. It is, because that they're relying on you to make sure that it's exactly. The guy. The buck stops here, and it's like there's nothing you can do. I mean, that's the thing is, if you guys want to support your company, go buy some merch. Same with us. Like, we have more web orders in 3 weeks than I think I ever have in probably 6 months.
Yeah.
It doesn't come close to the amount we get in retail, so it does still hurt. But I'm just so damn appreciative of the fact that people 30 blocks away would
still come out to find you.
Yeah, still, and that's cool. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, you guys need more T-shirts. I'll buy some of those. Shit. Hey, let's get some more T-shirts for it. But
we were in Houston for our largest event of the year, TX2K, and we saw a lot of merchandise there, and we film a lot of content that sometimes we'll make videos for a few weeks afterwards. And it was after during the first day, there's the big NHRA opener, year opener down in Florida that got canceled. They were literally in the middle of racing and they shut it down and told everyone to go home.
Oh,
and
seriously?
So I was like, well, there's something coming to us. Like it's going to happen because NHRA governs everything. And then just the country was, obviously making decisions. But halfway through the day, I was talking to the track owner and he had a meeting set up with like the city or something. And at 10 p.m., I literally just left the track to go out street racing. I got the message from the track owner that they were shutting down all spectators at the gate. Like no spectators, just racers, crew, media. So we were able to film our content, but we have our massive 40-foot merchandise trailer there and another trailer full of merchandise that we were expecting to sell over the next 3 days. And they were they're making the event 1 day shorter. So it's 3 days now. So I didn't sleep much that night, but we were able to come up with a plan to take our other trailer into the city to like a night meet. And they had a line like a block and a half long for 4 hours buying our stuff, which was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Shout out to everyone that came to that saved us. So instead of, selling like 20% of the merchandise we would have, because the first day is always slow anyway, we were like probably about 50. So that really helped us because we rely on that event to point us in the right direction for the year.
Yeah.
And fund what we do. So that was very stressful. And I'm like, there's outside of the merchandising, there's a lot of things going through my head. Like, oh my God, what do we do when we get home? How do we get home?
Yeah.
Like the shelves are already empty in Houston. What if they shut down borders? And like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's the thing is like, you've been around for this long though. Your fans, your people who follow you, they're going to help support. And that's the thing. It's like even my guy that cuts my hair, he just opened up a year and a half ago, Josh, and they shut everyone down. This is his only income. And so he puts up like, hey, we're selling t-shirts. I know they're grossly overpriced, but I'm like, rock me down for double XL. Yeah. Why not? I mean, and they call it the COVID t-shirt. I'm like, cool, I'll rock it, whatever.
Yeah, we made one too that says, COVID-19 can shut down the tracks, but it can't shut down the streets, which we're not encouraging people to go out in large groups and go street racing, but
playing words out, but that's with our gym too. We say, guys, if we have to shut down, we will. Like, if you guys need to freeze your membership because the finance is cool, if you can keep it open just so we can still make our rent. I said, we'll make it up to you at the end of the year when we caught up with this stuff. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of people messaged in, and we're like, no matter what, just keep charging me. I'm like, and my business partner was in here yesterday. I mean, a big old burly bastard, and he's just tears in his eyes because for us, like that's everything for us. I mean, we don't pay ourselves out a single dime in that business. We put everything back into for the last 3 years, and we haven't had 3 years yet before loans are paid off. But and the amount of people that just came in, I even one guy goes, "I even train at your gym, but I'll buy a membership. I can't go in though." Yeah, I appreciate that. You don't have to do that, but go buy a t-shirt or something. You're good. But it's I think you're seeing the best of a lot of people come out right now,
for sure,
which is awesome. I don't do anything out of place of fear. Like, there's a lot of unknown for business owners like you and me, sure, but I'm gonna look at the positive and see what I can make of it, because sitting around being pissed off or paralyzed isn't going to accomplish anything for anybody.
Hopefully it's motivating to people.
What is? The last time my wife's like, what kind of new business is going to come out of this disaster for you? I go, I've got some ideas. But that's just how I am. Well,
I've been thinking about your question about the advice to myself 15 years ago. There's a few answers, but the biggest thing is for us is things change so quickly. Like the trends change so quickly online, is I wish I would have pushed harder on things that were doing really well.
Yeah.
So on YouTube, when there's certain trends happening, it could be an overnight thing. It could be a year thing. You don't know.
Yeah.
When we make one video that does well, lots of times we just move on to the next things. We're just comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And right now it's like daily trends. It's crazy. But back 10 years ago, like girls riding in cars with bikinis on, that was huge. And there's a channel down in Texas that has like 80 million, 100 million views just off of that. And we did like 2 of them and did like 20 or 30 million views a piece. But that's all I did. And then like a year later, YouTube decided that bikinis are not monetizable. So so it's like I could have made a hell of a lot more money off of that. Yeah. The other thing is, as much as I love having my friends be my employees, I wish I would have thought a little more to set up like some expectations and guidelines and rules to like help draw a line
Facilitate
between
the relationship,
business and relationships, because I feel like I've lost that tight friendship with a few people that I regret. That it sucks.
Well, and then I think we've all learned that. That's a lesson I think everybody's watching this can definitely it's great having friends in business to the aspect most of the time. A lot of really good friends, good employees.
I can attest to that as well. I can attest to that as well.
It's so great because they'll work harder for you because of the respect, but every once in a while you'll have one that takes advantage. I've had that with family who've worked for me in the past too, that were like, because they're family, they don't have to quite do everything else. And so we've, with employees, when it's an employer, it's different because it's not a democracy in a business. It's a dictatorship, and in a nice way of saying it. That I'm like, so we had to start setting parameters. My wife's been better at that because I am the guy of 1,000 chances. I always think that I take it on me. If somebody screws up, I'm like, what could I have done better? What didn't I say? Maybe I should have made that more clear in the beginning. So we've really done well with setting standard operating procedures. Like, here's what we expect. Here's where the bar is, and defining that. I'm still a sucker though. I think I have 3 daughters. So I'm used to talking into shit I don't want to do. And that's my kids. But I think in dealing business with friends, like Shane and I just set a principle, and a lot of my friends are in different businesses. Friendship buys you 10%. And that's the rule since day one. I will spend 10% more with a friend, maybe 15, but that has to be an axe on it, because otherwise it's like, well, dude, you're double. I can't do double. Yeah. Like if I'm buying like a sign from somebody versus another sign, or if I'm buying this, that, or the other thing, you have to set a line. It's just, otherwise it's so hard. I
thought I had somebody when I first got started outside of went out by myself. I had a friend. We were really close. We'd worked together at another place. I was in the restaurant business, and we were like simpatico. I mean, we were always hanging out, really close, and said, "Hey, let's do this." Oh yeah, no, totally. So we were both down, and I found out pretty much overnight I was ready to rock and roll. Got the LLC. I found a used camera, and whatever, nice lens, the whole thing. Overnight, I basically did all this, and then the next day it was like he kind of was like, "Whoa, slow down." I was like, "Slow down, like let's go. Let's go out and make a bunch of mistakes. Let's go out and make a bunch of mistakes. Figure out how to get it done. Not on purpose, obviously, but let's go out there and figure it out." And I was ready to jump in, not necessarily deep end, but I was ready to jump in so that I could learn what not to do, and I did it quickly. And we booked the Rexius gig and all this other stuff, and pretty soon it was just all these things were happening, and it was just too much for him, I think, or right away, or didn't trust, or whatever it was. I'm sure I had made some mistakes, but that's the thing, is going in, and he was a good friend, and that's the thing, is I looked at him as a friend as opposed to a business partner, in a say. So I'm not going to put all of it on him, but I got to put some of it on me. But there was this, hey man, I'm bringing you along, and let's do this thing and all this stuff. And anyway, it was tough, and it was a learning, and it was, and it was like you said, it was kind of like, I wish we had just stayed friends instead of going into business.
When I first started filming, actually, when I worked at Stereo West, one of my coworkers there, still a really good friend of mine now, was actually filming along with me, and he had kids and family. And it just got to the point where there was just too much going on. He just didn't have the time to help with it. So we kind of split ways. We're still good friends, and that's part of the reason. We could have been co-owners in the business. At that point, it would have been a completely different story. But it has a different level of complexity. When you were talking about the different things of like setting up a business, one piece of advice to myself and anyone out there: as soon as you feel like you might have a brand, trademark that shit. Because wow, it is very expensive, and it took me about 5 or 6 years to get all the trademarks I need for my business, because I didn't do it early on, because I was I think I was the second 1320 whatever blank in the world. The first one was actually the Pinks company. I had a production brand back when Pinks was a thing. That was like 1320 something, and that was just before I started selling shirts, which is like the first date and use. And so I had to wait for theirs to expire, and then by the time theirs expired, there are thousands of 1320s out there now, and it's pretty ridiculous. But like the trademark world is just.
Well, that's what I found out. Like with mine, I didn't think I had to because I'm like, well, Rexius is my last name, and then my franchise attorney was like, oh no, people will steal that shit, and he made me go buy every single .net, .org, .everything I possibly could, and I'm like, holy shit! I mean, Iron Heaven, the logo was personally designed.
Should we get on that? Should we get on that for this?
Yeah, we should. Because I looked at Now or Never. There's like 7 different.
Sure
like nobody's
tons.
as big as ours. Honestly, I looked them all up. Nobody has as many views or followers as we do, but the fact they may get one splash off of ours, I'm like, no. I mean, because I'm not making money on this. I'm not. I mean, we've had some offered guest speakerships. Well, I always do it for free for now. Like, I'm not where I want to be yet, so I don't. I like doing this. Honestly,
when you're opening retail stores, it's pretty black and white. You need trademarks, or when you're branding something specifically. But like my first shirt I sold, I was like confused. Like, why the hell does someone want a shirt with my company on it? And so that was kind of in my head for the first few years.
Yeah.
And then by the time we were selling thousands of shirts every few months, it was like, okay, this is going to make it.
Do you apply your own trademark? Do you have a lawyer do it?
I've got a lawyer.
I did, and that's my advice. Have a lawyer do it. That shit is so freaking complicated. Like I can set up an LLC, an S corp, a C corp, easy as pie. I can do it online. Not a trademark. That stuff is if you screw up, you don't find out until after you paid for it, and they kick it back and they deny you. So copyrights and trademarks.
And it takes 2 years for them to deny you.
Yeah,
it's all this limbo.
A lot of bullshit. So yeah, definitely that's we learned that out as well too. And it's like, okay, if you have partners, like this is the company on the trademark, is the individual of the trademark, all that shit comes in play, and it is. But yeah, good piece. God, I've never talked on that either. Yeah, because I mean, I've known our lawyer since we were about 10 years old, so that helps. But you've done a lot of people I've worked with, I've known since I was a kid. But that's just it's a trust thing for me.
Some of our main trademarks, like after they did the search and looked into each of them, they came back and said, you need to call this person and have them change their name. I'm like, well, that's one of my friends, and he's not doing it like with any ill will. It's just, I've not like I knew him before he started his company, but like we've worked together. I'm not going to call him and be like, you need to change your name.
Yeah.
So luckily, after 3 years of finessing, we're all able to do our own thing. So it's.
But I've actually had to use it with Rexius Nutrition, the trademark and copyright, because people started putting it in their names on Instagram that didn't work for me.
Oh boy.
And then selling supplements online. Oh yeah, we've had it. People making up fake websites with the Rexius name. Oh, it happens all the time. It's people parading around being an ambassador or a sponsored athlete or somebody in the business trying to get money. Like it's happened a lot.
And that's the worst part is like for Rexius, it's like if somebody sells a supplement that ends up making somebody sick or does something messed up and they claim to whatever, that can be dangerous.
Social media and then the internet makes the whole world one big small town. And they don't care if it's in BFE or if it's here. They think it's the guy down the street and I'm held accountable. So I monitor it like a hawk because I have to. That's my family name. And people will come in. And it's amazing. People, it's just business. So people walk in like, I know the owner, Tim. I'm like, do you? Yeah, he says I get this for half off. Really? And my picture's on the wall behind the store. And, oh shit! I'm like, hey, for effort though, dude. I'll give you 10% off.
Oh my god!
And they'll buy it. It happens all the time. Yeah. And they're like, I'm Tim's cousin. I'm like, I don't think you are.
That actually happened with the guy I mentioned that went by Parrish with the pickup. That we kind of both made each other famous. He worked for an electrical company here in town. I think he still does. But he worked with this new kid, and this new kid's like telling him stories about his truck. Every day he's coming out with his new stories for like a month, and he just kept going along with it. It's like, how does this kid not know? I mean, I blurred his face in most of the videos, but it's like,
oh no, it happens. It happens a lot. I mean, for like, it's one of those. Like, it's almost surreal at that point where I have a lot more gray hair than I used to. People don't know I grew my beard out like 4 inches, and it's all white. And people walk in like, yeah, Tim and I are real close. We grew up together. Did you? Where'd you grow up? Norfolk, Nebraska. Oh, sweet. You got the right thing. They looked it up. They did their homework. I'm like, so I let it go for like 10 minutes. And I won Entrepreneur of the Year, top 40 under 40 a couple years ago. This is a much younger picture of me. I'm like, see that guy? Yeah, it's Tim. I'm like, do I really look that old? He goes, what? I pull up my ID. Kid, look, he goes, oh shit, man. I'm like, no discount, but you got to buy shit now. This is the greatest story ever. And it happens. It happens a lot. I mean, it's crazy, but I don't know. it's funny. They'll come in, like if somebody wants to come into a store, it's great though, because they're like looking for the boss here. I'm like, you look mad. He's not here. I have no idea where he is either. And she said about living on my Tiburon. I'm like, yeah, that's Shane. Shane's the boss. That's who you want to talk to. Oh, here's his email address. Call him instead. That's why we took the numbers off our cars. Because I drive like an asshole. I admit it. I drive fast and I like it. And I don't
but
care.
you put your name on it, so it's like.
Well, no, I took my name off the car too. Originally, I took out the phone, and they would call the store and be like, you know, the guy driving the Rexius.
Oh, I got you. Not your plate. Okay, I thought you were talking about your plates.
No, my plates are good. And I'm like, I'll talk to Shane. That's got to be him. And then we started getting bad reviews online because we drive too fast. And I'm like, okay, we took all the logos off all the vehicles. I'm like, this isn't. Because, you know, grandma buys vitamins at my shop, and she doesn't like when people drive the speed limit even. So, well, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's great to hear a success story from somebody from Omaha in the Midwest, and especially right now. I mean, a lot of you guys out there watching this video, I mean, take lessons from him. Like, he's been grinding for 18 years. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and keep grinding. And maybe what's going on right now, you see us, like, we're both dealing with it day to day, but we have hope, and we've been grinding this long. I'm good. I'll keep grinding after this is over. So thank you so much.
Toast to the homies that could never see the light, and the haters that forever see my ghost. What a night, man. Oh, you wanna know who I am? Oh, you wanna know me? Well, I'm the man that you knew. Now you know what it do. I'm a 9 to 5.